Good morning, and what is up, Buckeye Nation? It is the Saturday morning OHIO podcast call-in show. The coffee is hot. The takes are going to be even hotter today. And guys, bear with me. A little under the weather this morning. So we're going to get through this thing the best as we can. I'm going to be honest with you right out of the gate. We got some stuff to talk about today, guys. And some of it's going to be uncomfortable. Some of it is going to be uncomfortable. I am your host, of course, the Wild Man, Chris Wilds. And today's show, as I said, not going to be for the faint of heart because the honeymoon's officially over. Ohio State got gut punched down in Dallas. Call it what it is. They were gut punched. Today we're going to dive headfirst into three different topics. One of those being what the hell happened in the Cotton Bowl. And more importantly, how does Ohio State fix it? No cliches, no excuses, just some real football answers. Number two, guys, got to talk about the transfer portals open. Who are the Buckeyes about to lose? There's a lot of guys, a lot of Buckeyes who have entered that portal. I believe 19 at last count, if I'm not mistaken. So, who are we going to lose? More importantly, who are we going to bring in? Larry, the what drives me wild rant is going to be coming up probably. I'll probably film that shortly after this. As I said, I've been really under the weather the last couple of days. So I will try to get to that as soon as possible. Hopefully I can get that recorded shortly after this and we can get that dropped either later today or tomorrow. And then, let's talk about the final topic, and that is I want to talk about the college football playoff a little bit. Having watched last year, having watched the first couple rounds of this year, I really think we got to dive into this, and we have to ask ourselves, is the college football playoff broken? Is it actually broken? And what can be done to fix it? So I'm going to talk about these topics. I want to get your topics in the chat as well, guys, or your thoughts in the chat as well. But before we get rolling, let's do me a favor, please. If you're watching this right now on the YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, share it with a friend so that they can also be introduced to the joys of the OHIO podcast. Additionally, if you like what we do and you haven't done so yet, please go on over and check out our Patreon channel. Patreon's where it's at, guys. That is where Buckeye Nation goes to party because you get the best Buckeye insider news across 4 message boards that are run by our buddy Buck Vader, the top insider in the game. You get exclusive shows like Talking with Buckeyes with Bogsy. You get the Illuminati with Mika. You get the What Drives Me Wild segment with myself. TG looks at what the Buckeyes do in the NFL. We got the Schrock Star. We got Dr. Corey. Those guys are going to be working on shows in the near future for that as well. All kinds of great things happening there. You get all 4 of our message boards. You get Vader's blog. You get our live watch parties. Guys, this is where it's at. It's over on Patreon. And you get all this starting for only $5 a month. All right. Enough promo crap. Enough warm-up. Let's talk about what went wrong. Before we do so, I am going to hop in the chat here just to say hello to everybody that's in there because we do have 43 people watching across our various formats, including 22 of you on the YouTube. Rolling Coconut, good morning. Tyler, good morning. Always good to see you, buddy. Larry, great to see you. Who else we got in here this morning? We got Jeffrey. Bogsy, what's happening, man? Let's see. We got Jay in the chat this morning. Good to see you, Jay. You broke down the you broke down the game in your head to the point where I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's talk about the portal. Jay, I've broke down this game in my head too. This is going to be touched on twice, once today on here and then once in the What Drives Me Wild segment, which is going to have some probably thoughts in it that maybe aren't appropriate for Facebook. For YouTube. Hugh, we got Hugh in here as well. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to talk about that a little bit, Hugh. Anybody else that I missed in the chat this morning? Captain, how's it going? Clark, wonderful to see you, Clark, as well. Lisa, always great to see you, Lisa. Ken Taco Hut, what's up, guy? All right, so we're going to dive in here. Segment 1, we're just simply going to call it the gut punch. Not a fluke, not bad luck, not refs. We can't blame the refs. Ohio State was out-muscled. They were out-coached. They were out-middled. A 24-14 loss to Miami in the Cotton Bowl that took a season where we had started out with modest expectation and created dynasty talk through the year, especially following that win over the team up north, to an identity crisis in 2 weeks flat. And I'm going to tell you right now, watching through what I consider to be somewhat trained eyes, I never played at this elite level. I never coached at this elite level. But I've paid a lot of attention to the game. I have coached a little bit at the lower levels. This game was decided where all games are decided. And where Ohio State used to dominate. And that was in the trenches. This game, in one sentence, if you want the entire Cotton Bowl boiled down to one sentence, it's this. Whoever won the line of scrimmage was going to win this game. And Miami owned the line of scrimmage for 4 quarters. They didn't compete. They didn't trade blows. They outright owned that line of scrimmage for 4 quarters. Ohio State was punched in the mouth. And while they put up a fight, they never were quite able to land that blow, that punch, to get themselves back into it all the way. Miami's defensive line lived in the Buckeyes' backfield. 7 tackles for loss. 5 sacks. Those sacks led to us only having 45 yards rushing in that game, primarily because Julian Sand lost as many yards going backwards as our running backs got going forwards. "22 tackles by Miami's front. Just by the front, guys. 22 tackles. And here's the part that fans don't want to hear. It wasn't about the talent. This had nothing to do with the talent of the players on the field. This was about coaching. This was about mental toughness. This was about preparedness. Miami came off the bus knowing they were going to hit Ohio State square in the face. And Ohio State looked shocked when it happened. What we saw was 2002, the Bizarro version. Mean Green, OH, buddy. Yeah, it was 2002, the Bizarro version. I mean, if we look at this thing quarter by quarter, first quarter, it was embarrassment. The start to this game should have set off bells immediately. Miami controlled the ball for 13 minutes in the first quarter. I'm sorry, not quite 30. 12 minutes in the first quarter. Ohio State just over 3. 9 total yards. That is not a slow start, guys. That's not feeling it out. That's not getting a read on your competition. That is having your soul sucked from your body. What a team does to you early, or when a team does that to you early, it's not just physical, it's psychological. It wears on you, man. It wears on you. And from that moment on, Ohio State was reacting, not dictating. Miami's offensive game plan, man, that was just grown man football. That was them, Mario Cristobal, just looking at them and saying, you know what? I've got this guy here, this running back that you once treasured. I've got this guy on my side, and I'm going to run him down your flipping throat. And whether you like it or not, it worked. It 100% worked. And Ohio State's defense, man, Miami just looked at him and says, yeah, you guys are talented. You're good. But we're going to lean on you. We're going to wear you down. And if you look at that last drive, that drive they gave up at the end of the game, that's what that was. Because Ohio State was not out of this thing until the very end. And the defense was just gassed. 13 minutes on the field to start out the first quarter will do that to you. They ran power, they ran inside zone, they ran downhill. They made Ohio State tackle every single snap. And when the game was on the line in the fourth quarter, what did they do? They went right back to it. Touchdown. Clock chewing drive. Ohio State's defense couldn't get off the field. Guys, there's nobody to blame for that except for Ohio State. That is Miami knowing who they are and knowing who you weren't. Excuse me. Ohio State was outcoached. Period. Let's stop dancing around it. Miami and Mario Cristobal once again got the better of Ryan Day. Ryan Day had 3 weeks to prepare for this game. Yet Miami had the better game plan. Miami made better adjustments. Miami dictated the pace of the game. Ryan Day even admitted they spent weeks emphasizing a fast start. The result? You go down 14-0. That pick six by Keontae Scott. That was the exact moment this game tilted permanently. Sand is pressing because nothing is easy right now. Protection was breaking down. Routes aren't winning fast enough. Our offensive line is not giving him time. Miami jumped the route. Boom. 2-score hole. And now you're asking a young quarterback to be Superman behind a line that can't protect him. Guys, this is not Julian Saint's fault. This game is not Julian Saint's fault. It's not fair to the kid. Don't do it. And it's not winning football. And guys, these sacks, they're not coincident. Let me say this loud for the people in the back. This is the second straight game where Ohio State allowed 5 sacks. Julian Saint had not been sacked 10 times all season and was sacked 10 times in the last 2 games. Indiana did it in the Big Ten title game. Miami did it in the Cotton Bowl. Guys, it's not a surprise. It's not an ambush. It's not trickery. It's a trend. They said they wanted to get the ball out quick, but if your quarterback is still getting drugged to the ground 5 times, that tells you one thing. Your line is not good. Your routes aren't winning. Your coverage is tight. Protections are busted. Communication, it's bad. That's coaching. That's development. That's not on the kids. Miami smelled blood in the water, and they never stopped. What impressed me most about Miami, and guys, I hate Miami. But what impressed me most about them was their physicality, their discipline. The fact that even when Ohio State came back, they didn't panic, they didn't get cute, they didn't abandon the run, they didn't change their game plan. When Ohio State got this close, Miami stuck to their guns and did what got them there. They hit Ohio State with screens, they hit them with checkdowns, they played clock control, forcing the Buckeyes into a tough situation late. Do we let them score, or do we let the clock bleed out? That's chess, not checkers, guys. Mario Cristobal was up here. Ryan Day was down here. Jason, I want to address this here. I'm gonna break from where I was going because I want to address this. If every quarterback at Ohio State since Justin Fields has not run the ball, do you really think it's that the quarterback won't run? Or is it that he's being told not to run? Let that soak in for a minute. Because I'll tell you, there's a problem. Uh, Ohio State was guessing all night. Miami was dictating. Textbook definition of being outcoached. And it's bigger than this game. It's the pattern. Here's where it gets uncomfortable, guys. We had 4 games that people would say were against upper echelon opponents this year. And one of them I question. But if you look, we won that game, but Texas really was more impressive in the trenches in that 14-7 Ohio State victory. Versus Indiana, we got punched in the mouth. They owned the trenches. Versus Miami, we lost in the trenches. The only game Ohio State truly won up front of their, what people would call upper tier teams, was the team up north. And guys, that looks like an outlier right now. Not the standard. And who even knows? I mean, clearly, what they had going on up there in Michigan, did that have any effect on the way the things were being called? Would a focus Sharon Moore have dominated the offensive line of scrimmage the way that these other 3 teams have against us? I don't know. The numbers don't lie, though. Let's stack it up. 5 sacks versus Indiana. 5 sacks allowed versus Miami. 10 total points versus Indiana. 14 total points versus Miami. Guys, great question. Great question. Where was Carnell Tate in all this? And we're going to get to this later, Brent. But yeah, there is rumors that some of the guys originally thought to be Ohio State guys may not be. There's been a word thrown around a lot over the course of the last 5 years. A word that nobody wants to hear. A word everybody hates. But guys, now even the analysts are using it. And the film backs it up. Ohio State's offensive line is soft. They're soft and they're overwhelmed up front. There's no other way to put it. Ohio State is soft. And what's bad is this. I think that if we were running the right schemes offensively, you could cover up for soft. You could work soft to your advantage. But Ryan Day is trying to play smash mouth football with guys that just aren't. When your interior gets knocked back the way they were, when your offense becomes horizontal, when your run game disappears, when your quarterback presses, when your defensive line can't win early, your linebackers are stressed, your defense gets exposed, your margin of error vanishes. For a program that once defined itself by putting monsters from the trenches into the NFL, this has been a tectonic identity shift, guys. And you have to ask, what does this loss mean? Because emotionally, this wasn't just another playoff loss. Some people will tell you it was. It wasn't. This was a shot through the heart of the program. Ohio State came in as defending national champions. One of the most dominant regular season teams we've ever seen. And finished with back-to-back losses. Guys, as Buckeye fans, we didn't sign up for that. Great September, fade in December. That's not the way we play ball. Especially not when you have the talent that we have at quarterback, at receiver, at tight end, at running back. This is not a call-in show this morning, Sean. Watching this game, watching Miami celebrate, felt like 2002 but in reverse, except this time, Ohio State was the one getting bullied. And watching fans leaving AT&T Stadium before the clock hit 0, guys, that was heart-wrenching. That it wasn't anger, it was resignation. Our fans gave up on our team at that point. Let me just be clear, the national narrative switched. The Wolves are circling. Ryan Day's being compared to the end of Nick Saban's run. Where we wanted to have Ryan Day compared to prime Nick Saban. This is being compared to Nick Saban's last year. Elite skill talent, slipping lines. Every contender just got the blueprint. Hold up in man coverage, win up front. Ohio State becomes ordinary. That should terrify everyone inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Complex. It's upsetting. And now we go into this all happening 2 days before the portal opens. Don't think that's not going to have an effect on who enters the portal from Ohio State. Don't think that game's not going to have an effect on who comes to Ohio State from the portal. I mean, you look at this. Do we even have a true first round caliber lineman right now? I'm going to say no. For a good portion of the season, we thought it was Austin Sverveld, but I saw him picking himself up off his backside more than not this last game. And you've got to develop talent. They pulled a couple of big guys in from the transfer portal this year in Ethan Oniawa and Philip Daniels, and we just thought that it was plug and play time. They were not developed the way they should have been, guys. This is a coaching issue along that offensive line. We've got to focus on development. We've got to focus on strength and conditioning. We've got to focus on scheme, and we got to do it all now. You can't just simply live in the portal getting guys who you think are plug and play like you did last year when you go out and you pull in Quinshon Judkins. When you go in and you pull out Caleb Downs. And just put them in there and let them go. You can get good talent out of the portal, but it still has to be developed. Ohio State needs disruptors, not just sound players. Guys who can wreck a drive the way Miami's front wrecked ours. We have talent. Understand, we have talent. But it's being wasted. Jeremiah Smith, great game. 7 catches, 157, a touchdown. Double teamed almost all night. That's elite. But elite skill talent means nothing if you lose the trenches. Ohio State's standard is not great receivers, great hype, and ugly playoff exit. It's not. The standard is owning the line of scrimmage in December and in January. And right now, we're just not. And just, I'm going to put a final statement on the Cotton Bowl before we move on. Buckeye Nation wanted a statement game. What we got instead was a mirror. They handed us a mirror. And when we saw the reflection, guys, it just wasn't pretty. If this program is seriously focused on staying at the top of college football, they've got to make a response right now in the portal. Coach Mick has to take over things in the weight room and really toughen these kids up. The meeting room has to be as violent and urgent as that beating we took up front. Because hype is not going to win you championships. Championships are not won in the media, they're won in the dirt. And until Ohio State reclaims that identity, this is not going to be the last upsetting night we have. It's that simple. You look at our schedule for next year, it's no joke. All right, so since this comment just came up, I'm going to throw it up because we're going to start talking about the transfer portal right now. Ohio State comes in reeling off a playoff loss. And we are days removed from an attempted back-to-back title run where we are without our offensive coordinator. People are once again questioning our head coach. And there's now questions about some of our portal targets. Are we going to land them? You know, the modern era of football reality is this: success no longer insulates you from turnover. Ohio State has now lost 19 individuals to the transfer portal as of my last count. And while none of them were big name stars, guys, we got a lot of young kids, a lot of talented young kids, and role players that are leaving Ohio State. Let's just start with the running back room alone. Now we're graduating CJ. James Peoples in the portal. Sad to see that one go. I still think James had a lot of talent, a lot he could have offered this team. Sam Williams-Dixon, he's entered the portal twice now. He's clearly not coming back to Ohio this time. Mean Green, I'm gonna star your question because I want to answer that at the end of the show. We're going to talk about this before we close things out because this could also relate to this topic as well. But yeah, I'm going to run down the complete list of guys we've got in the portal right now. And, it's not, again, not a list of stars, but a list of guys who had potential, guys who had depth. We talked about the running back room. Let's go over to wide receiver. Bryson Rogers, a lot of people think that he, Dorian Williams, and Demarion Witten all can find, at least one of them finds themselves with Brian Hartline at USF. They're buried in one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in the country. And Williams and Witten never even cracked the rotation, really. Tight end, we was Johnny Thurman. He was our notable departure. He's one who's never really reached his potential. Thurman's decision came amid increased competition, highlighting just how quick the depth chart can change in the portal era. Max Clare came in and put Thurman right to the end of the line. Along the offensive line, we saw one of the Armstrong brothers has exited. Who knows whether the other one's going to follow him into the portal or not. We saw Mason Maggs and Lincoln Keenholz leave the quarterback room. So that's going to put our quarterback room right now looks like this. Julian Sayin, Tavion Sinclair, and the kid Luke. I lost the last name on my. But our incoming freshman for this year. from California. So the quarterback room is going to be in need of some leadership as well, I think. Uh, Defensively, the Buckeyes, probably the biggest name lost was C.J. Hicks. He's a guy that we hyped up for years. A guy who you guys can't see me, is that right? I've got everything looking good on my end. My camera's up. Okay. So CJ Hicks, a guy, former 5-star recruit. We've hyped this guy up for years. Never really found his role. I tried moving down to more of an edge guy. That didn't work out either. He's just going to close this chapter in his life and end up moving to another university. Um, that's a lot of talent to lose, man. We never found a way to use him properly. Along the defensive line and the edge, we lost Logan George, who came in last year. Dominic Kirks is departing, a guy who we thought was going to probably see significant play next year. Then you look at the secondary, we lost Bryce West, another guy a young guy who added depth and a guy who we thought would probably see more time next year. Bakari Miles. One that hurts from a tradition standpoint more than anything else. How is someone with the last name Griffin going to transfer out of Ohio State? Deontay Griffin transfers out of what is becoming a rapidly thinning cornerback room. West, of course, stands out among there. He's the 4-star in-state recruit. Played as a true freshman, appeared to, position for a larger role this year, but never really came to fruition. Special teams and specialist depth. Guys, if there was one area we could not afford to have any kind of anybody leave, it was special teams, because our special teams is awful. Specifically, we saw firsthand the last 2 games our place kicking. But so far, Jackson Corville, the kicker, has entered the portal. Nick McClarty, punter, has entered the portal. Grant Mills, long snapper, they've all entered the portal. Now, these guys might not draw public attention, but these are guys that have to be replaced immediately. And while none of them are starters, their exit forces Ohio State to rebuild key components of special teams. We have to have depth there. So, take these individually, and these portals align with a national trend. Younger players seeking faster paths to playing time. Former high-profile recruits recalibrating their expectations. And depth contributors responding to increasingly competitive internal recruiting. Take that all together, reflect on the challenge that Ohio State has ahead of it. Maintaining roster balance in an era where development is no longer guaranteed, where continuity is no longer guaranteed. What do we do here? How do we attack this transfer portal? I'll tell you, this is how I would attack it. There's a mission. Ohio State isn't just patching holes for 2026. We're hunting for upgrades. The objective is simple. You want to try to get some immediate impact starters? some battle-tested veterans who can provide that leadership that we lack this season. And you want to get some plug-and-play dogs who don't need a year to develop, that can get out there and get at it right now. We have to attack our defensive front seven, our linebacker core, our offensive line, which has been nothing short of awful. And guys, these guys can't be projects on that offensive line. We can't take flyers. This is about winning on Saturdays in November through January. So, who do we like? And you guys can throw up your ideas in the chat as well. Let's start with our edge strategy. You don't want to replace elite production with hope. You replace it with proven chaos creators. I think the alpha target in this cycle for us has to be Chaz Coleman. A kid that I'm hearing now may have interest in LSU. But guys, this is the crown jewel. This is an Ohio kid, a Warren, Ohio native, explosive first step, long, violent hands. He isn't depth. He's a statement maker. He's an impact player. Third downs immediately change when he's on the field. And Larry Johnson would get another long, twitchy monster to unleash. You land him, and the Big Ten feels it. He has got to be our primary target. And then you get another, what I would like to call a rational weapon to go with him. Maybe an Antonio Berry, the Gardner Webb edge guy, 6'6", 240. Lots of the measurables. He would be more of a rotational piece, but he's good and can keep starters fresh. Maybe you get some interior line help as well. Maybe guys like AJ Green out of Louisville are available. This guy wreaks havoc. Penetration. So he's a nightmare. He would be a part of a NASCAR front. Devin Tompkins out of the defensive lineman out of USC. Length, production, versatility. He's the kind of guy who could do something for you. Another big position we got to worry about is that linebacker spot, guys. We are losing two of the best linebackers in the game. Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, they'll both be playing on Sundays next year. I mean, Arvell's has been talked about as high as number 1 as the first round pick. He's not coming back. I just don't see it. The formula, you got to get at least one true plug-and-play linebacker who can start. You need one experienced veteran. So you have zero drop-off in your communication, your physicality, your coverage ability. I think the ideal fit is the kid from Pitt. Another Ohio kid out of Pickerington, Rasheed Biles. The dude does everything. Blitz, covers, forces turnovers, plays downhill with violence. Slide him in there next to Riley Pettijohn and keep the defense multiple, aggressive, and fast. If you're looking for some veteran leadership, maybe a Melvin Jordan out of Missouri might be an option for you. He's a ready-made, physical Big Ten style linebacker. Cole Sullivan, the kid out of Michigan. I'm not a big fan of getting Michigan kids, but flipping him would be a 2-for-1. You strengthen Ohio State, you weaken Michigan. That's portal chess right there, baby. And then offensive line, that's got to be that has to be our primary focus. Offensive line has got to be our primary focus because our offensive line, guys, is broken. Um, for me, I mean, you look at the offensive line that are out there. You've got Kern, the offensive tackle out of LSU. Uh, you got Hurd, the offensive tackle out of Tennessee. Guy I really like is Xavier Chaplin, offensive tackle out of Auburn. He's an ACC and SEC starter, minimum sacks allowed. This is a guy who could be a day one, provide day one stability on the edge. Ben Morosky out of UConn, I believe it is, and then Casey Henry out of South Carolina. These guys are probably your top 5 tackles. And then you switch over to that interior of the offensive line. Lots of talent there as well. You look at Eric's Daughtry out of Boston College. Here's a kid, the highest rated interior lineman in the mix. Is he someone we could land? What about a Cohen Eccles, the guard out of LSU? He took over as a starter mid-season, and he really did well for LSU there. I think he's one of those guys that can help calm the pocket, let the young guys marinate a little bit. So it's got to be, it can't be random though. As we attack this portal, it's got to be a surgical attack on the portal. But for me, I'm attacking the LSU interior lineman. I'm going after Kern. I'm going after Eccles. These guys are big time talents. Maybe you look at Brendan Black, the inside offensive lineman out of Iowa State, or Noah McKinney. Although I think he just committed to TCU, if I'm not mistaken. So that he's kind of off the table. Bo Stanley out of South Carolina, I believe it is. He's another guy that could be a impact guy on the interior. But whatever you do, it has to be surgical. To me, priority 1, land Coleman. Pair him with either a Green or a Tompkins. Try to add an O'Berry for depth if you can. Then you look at a front 4 that stays explosive without overworking the young guys. Then you go to the linebacker position. I think Biles is the centerpiece. You get Biles, you start him with Pettijohn. Maybe you bring in a Jordan or a Sullivan as a stabilizer. A little bit more of that senior leadership type thing. Result, versatility, blitz pressure, leadership, and special teams juice. Let's not forget that these guys add special teams juice if you get these depth pieces. Offensive line, you got to reload, man. I understand what we got, but you bring it in, you make it uncomfortable for them. I think you have to get either Chaplin or Adams at tackle. If you get both, that'd be a coup. I would pursue hard Kern or Eccles on the inside. That's protection right now. Flexibility later. And yeah, Eric, this is a great point. I understand there's not blank checks in NIL. And they have a budget. So you have to balance this out. But at the same time, you have to get the guys that are going to make the impact. And then, guys, obviously, the position that we need maybe more than any other, and It's funny to hear us say this. The position that we need more than any other is place kicker, and there are 0 in the portal right now. Ryan Day has got to start to recruit top tier kickers. Because, guys, going back to Georgia and the Peach Bowl a few years ago, our kicking situation has been bad. And it's now cost us at least 1, if not 2, national championships. It is what it is. So, final word from me on recruiting. I think this is how you win the portal without selling your soul. There's no character risks in the people I mentioned. There's no culture killers, no panic moves, just proven football players and the guys that I mentioned. Ohio fits. And a roster built to go after another national title. Guys, you can't just, the portal is not free agency. It's selective warfare. The Buckeyes are not going to lose the core of their championship identity, but they're losing layers of experience. They're losing competition. They're losing insurance that they have accumulated over multiple seasons. In today's college football, managing the churn is no longer a secondary concern. It is defining task of sustaining contention. And that is where Ryan Day is at. So, that being said, before jumping into segment 3, I want to go back and review a few comments here. Because I know the comments have been hot. Let's see here. The wide receivers need to be taught how to block again. Yes, agreed. Our wide receiver blocking went way downhill. We saw that in the championship game. What's the philosophy going to be for this year offensively? I don't think we're going to know that until we have an offensive coordinator, Tyler. I just don't. Let's see here. Yeah, 6 Buckeyes in the first round, Ed. I've seen similar mock drafts between 6 and 7 Buckeyes. And I ask myself, how did we lose to Miami? Doesn't matter how many stud offensive line. Yeah, you're right. If you don't have uh, guys who can defend your or keep your QB standing upright, doesn't matter how many great receivers you have. Oh, here's an idiot right here being gifted a title in 02. I'm not even going to go down that route because that game never should have even gone to overtime for you to whine about that final play or that final penalty, which was a penalty, by the way, because on the third down, right before the Ohio State had to kick it away, you had the Miami defender holding a receiver who then caught the ball clearly, and they didn't call the penalty, and they called it an incomplete pass. So don't give me gifted anything. You are an absolute moron if you believe that. Let's see here.
Corner sucks too. Yeah, he's not here. What's up, dudes? I was in the chat hanging out. Chris is gone. So, anyways, let's just continue the show, I guess, huh? First off, congratulations, Lothbrook66, on your daughter being cancer free. That's awesome news, man. TG, what's up? Good to see you. So I'm not really sure what exactly happened to Chris. I jumped in here and he's no longer here. My guess is his internet stopped working and the show continued. So I guess I'll just jump in and close the show out for him. So he was talking about transfer portal. I'm currently working on some news behind the scenes on the transfer portal, who we have, what it's looking like, who they're going after. Chaz Coleman, Rasheem Biles, Chris talked on those two. Both of them have visits coming up with SEC schools before Ohio State, although Chaz Coleman was in contact with Ohio State before this. Apparently, his visits to Tennessee and LSU is driving the price tag up for him. Does that mean Ohio State's out of it? Possibly. That's the fear everybody has. Miami's not going to let Rasheem Biles leave Miami, according to reports that they are going to offer him the world. Lance Hurd is the big starting left tackle for Tennessee. Hit the portal. Ohio State was one of the schools he was interested in. Tennessee's reporting that Lance is that he was asking, his price tag was astronomical, which is why Tennessee let him go. Kalen Lee, cornerback from Auburn, he's visiting Ole Miss today and supposedly visiting Ohio State tomorrow. He flipped from Ohio State on signing day to Auburn in 2023. He's interested in coming back to Ohio State. Those are the four guys who I've been working on this morning, trying to get some more intel. I know there's a couple other people in the portal that Ohio State is interested in. Let me just say this in closing for all of you, so that you all can see or can hear, my thoughts anyways. Biles is Miami bound, unfortunately, now, unless we man up and fork over cash. What I'm hearing is Miami is throwing just the kitchen sink at him financially. Miami is not afraid to spend the money. I would say right now their NIL is probably one of the best in college football, next to Texas Tech. Texas Tech NIL is really high. Oregon NIL is always very good. And Ohio State's not going to overpay for people. They're just not. It's not a part of their philosophy right now. Maybe that philosophy changes if you start losing 10 or start losing 2, 3, 4 games every single year, But Lou Holtz was correct about what? That Ryan Day and Ohio State are soft? They weren't soft last year. So he wasn't right last year, but he's right this year? I disagree with that. When you have certain things happen in the trenches, a lot of different things can break that down. My conversations with offensive linemen go like this. 4 out of 5 guys, right? 4 of them do their job. One happens to miss out on a one-on-one block or doesn't do his job properly, and it reflects the entire offensive line. That happens 5 or 6 times a game out of 70 snaps, and all of a sudden your offensive line gets the reputation of being not good. It's not true. They can be very good. Unfortunately, they just broke down a few different plays. Number 2, a mobile quarterback helps that. How many times would past offensive lines looked much worse than they did if they didn't have a quarterback who could move in the pocket, create separation and space from defensive linemen, be willing to run the football? Not getting it from Julian Sain right now. It's not helping how they look. So there's that. Yep, you're right. Mark Fletcher, Marquise Lightfoot. You're right. Both of them end up going to Florida. There was a defensive lineman from Chicago that flipped to Florida as well. Yeah, Miami is spending money. They are spending money. Absolutely. A little bit different of philosophy. We'll see if it holds up true, if it works for them against Ole Miss and eventually maybe even against Indiana. By the way, the complete opposite of this is Indiana. Look how successful they are right now, too. So there's different paths you can take on this journey to get to where you want to get to successfully as a football team. Eric, do you think we're too conservative when it comes to spending in NIL? That's a good question. Maybe. I know this much. There's a lot of teams who spend a lot more than Ohio State in NIL on a player that Ohio State liked but didn't go for, and then that team sucks because they put all their eggs in one basket, and you can't do that. It takes 22. Doesn't take one or two. It takes 22, and even beyond that because you have to have depth. And so you have to be smart about your money. You can't just be willy-nilly about it unless you have an endless supply of it, which apparently Miami's got. But even how did NIL help them against Louisville? How did NIL help them against NC State, games they lost, right? So NIL doesn't automatically just mean you're going to win every single game. It's like recruiting 5-stars, right? It used to be, hey, you recruit more 5-stars, you're going to win it all every year, right, Alabama? It's not the case anymore. NIL and the transfer portal have changed college football completely, and it's a juggling act. You have to juggle all of these things, and so it's an interesting thing to look at. Oh, hard to tell how much money we have. I don't even know if Ohio State really knows how much money they have, in all honesty. NIL, a lot of NIL collectives promise the world to kids, and then they don't pay up on them either. And then they end up leaving, right? Because, hey, you promised me X amount of dollars, and then you didn't give it to me. It's not in Ohio State's best interest to do that long term, to promise the world to a kid to get him to come here and then he doesn't get it. And NIL is a little bit different in the transfer portal. These kids are a little bit more savvy, right? They're not just being promised things to commit to a school. They want the contract and they want to sign it now because now they have agents to help them do that before they join the school, before they enroll at the school. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more of a negotiation up front than it is in recruiting, which is a little bit more of like, hey, I can just show you the world and promise you the world, and if it doesn't come to fruition, it doesn't come. Show your daddy Mario Cristobal support. That's funny. Let's see here. Anybody else before we call this a show? Sorry about Chris's internet or something happened. I don't know. But Nate, Knoxville Nate and I are going to have a video for you guys later today. We're planning on working on that together. So we'll be updating you. We're trying to get as much intel as we possibly can before we do that video this afternoon and give you that intel so that you guys can be up to date on the transfer portal. So hopefully we'll be able to do that here for you guys soon. Sorry about Chris exiting stage left. Again, not sure what happened there, but I was glad I was on so I could jump in and close out the show for all of you. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, by all means, let us know what you think about what we think down in the comment section below. And finally, go check out our Patreon channel. We absolutely love what's going on there. We did a Buckeye watch last night as well for the basketball game. Ohio State beat Rutgers on the road. It was a good win for them. Cal, I agree with you 100% here. Special teams under Ryan Day has been an absolute nightmare. And I'm not just talking about kicking, I'm talking about punting, the punting game as well. Kick returns, all of it. It was an emphasis under Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel. Ryan Day doesn't emphasize it at all. It seems like it's an afterthought, and it's cost him now. It's cost him a couple times. So he definitely needs to go about that aspect this offseason of getting that under control, having a better plan when it comes to special teams. Thank you for the comment. All right, guys, have a good rest of your day. We will be back with a video for you this afternoon, Knoxville Nate and I. So make sure you're locked in, checked in for that. We'll be back. Take care, everybody. Have a good Saturday. God bless. Go Bucks.